What do we do on those cloudy, rainy days? Well, we take all that wonderful data that we've collected and we play with it on our computer. Nothing could be more exciting for us geeky astro imagers. Let's talk about Astropixelprocessor right now on the channel. What's going on, my fellow stargazers? Welcome back to Easy Astro Images. I am Chad. Today we are going to take a look at Astropixelprocessor. Now, this is a program that I've just recently started to use. Obviously, with this channel, I've been into heavy astrophotography only for about 6 to 9 months, and I've learned a lot, but I've only been using this probably for about the past month, and I absolutely love it. It's very easy to use. There's also a license trial that is for free, so you guys can check it out for yourselves and see what you want to do with this and make your images just, well, easy, because that's what we like to do. If you go to Astropixelprocessor.com, you will see their little website here that'll kind of go over and explain everything for you, show you some nice default images that people have created, and that is great. You can see right here, there is a free 30-day trial tab that you can sign up for and use. I'm actually still within my free 30-day trial. And there is also a different type of license, an owner's license, which I believe is like around $160, or a renter's license, which is $60 a year. Both of those include all updates and everything else like that. So let's go ahead and let's pop into Astropixelprocessor and show you what we're going to do. So this data is night 2 of an imaging session that I am doing on M81 Bode's Galaxy, high in the north right now during galaxy season, taken with my RC6 scope that you saw in one of my previous videos. If you haven't, check it out, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll put a link up here so you guys can take a look at that one. The great thing about Astropixelprocessor is it gives you the ability to do a lot of things that the more expensive programs do and more complicated things do, way easier to give you instant gratification and better imaging. That way, 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, if you still have that same data, you can come back into here and you can redo it all over again, and then you can take it and use whatever program you want to at the time and make it better. You can even add to that stuff very easily. So I'm going to go through here and show you how we're going to process night 2's data, and then actually what I'm going to do, maybe I'll show it at the end, maybe I won't, is I'll combine night 1 and night 2 and see what my image looks like. I'm pretty excited about that. So let's look at it right here. So we have this fantastic program pulled up in here, and what we got to do first is, the first time you only got to do this once, and you're going to go up here to config, and you're going to set up how much of your system you want to actually dedicate to the program. Memory, CPU cores, everything like that, with the config button and everything. It won't let me do it right now because I need to specify what directory we're going to be working in. So we'll go ahead and select the directory where all of my awesome pictures are, and that is under RC6 here, and M81, and Lights Night 2. So we'll just go ahead and click open on that. It's real simple and easy. So you're going to see a bunch of tabs and all this stuff and all that kind of great things over here. What we're going to do first is specify a name, and I'm going to call this M81N2 for night 2. And if you look right here, you can see that we can do a multi-session, we can do auto detect masters, and masters are something that you can use once you've already ran like all of your darks, lights, flats, all that kind of stuff through here. So you don't have to do that every time. It'll kind of speed up the process a little bit because this will take a little bit of time. And you'll see all these different tabs here, 0 through 9. And we'll go over those tabs individually here. Most of these tabs you're not going to do nothing with, so you don't even have to worry about it. So on the very front thing, I'm using a one-shot color camera. So I don't need to do a multi-channel processing. We're not doing a multi-session right now. And I'll just go ahead and leave auto detect checked. And I went ahead and changed this M81 to N2 as my object name. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add all of my lights. So I think I've got about 60 to 65 light frames from last night. So we're going to add those. And then we're going to add flats. Now I actually just did some upgrades to my scope that we can talk about in another video. So I'm not going to use master flats. So I'll have to add new ones. Every time you do something with your, your telescope, your focusing and stuff like that, you're going to want to create new flats, dark flats, things like that. So we're going to use dark flats. I used those. Dark flats are really nice because they contain a little bit of more data than a bias frame, and they just seem to make your images overall look a little bit better. And then we are going to add in a master dark because I shot these pictures at 180 seconds. So I actually have a 180 second master dark right there that we will go ahead and add. So you can see down here that in this bottom part that it's just adding all of this stuff into like one big list. And it's going to sort all this stuff out for us and everything. You can look, we've got 50 lights, 50 flats, 50 dark flats, and 1 master flat in there. So now let's go through the tabs here and we'll figure this stuff out. So my camera shoots in a RGB pattern. If you've got Team Red ZWO camera, pretty much everyone uses the exact same thing. You'll want to go ahead and manually select that. The algorithm we're going to use is adaptive airy disk. That seems to just be the consensus, so I am not going to disagree with anybody on that. And we are going to select force bare, so that way we can see a color image when it gets done with everything. We're not going to check camera and white balance. We'll do all the white balancing and stuff after the fact. Don't have to worry about that. So screen number 1 is load. We've already done that. Number 2 is calibrate. Now with this newer version of Astropixelprocessor, or APP for short, that's what we'll say from now on. You don't really have to mess around with any of this stuff. All these settings are pretty much just left to automatic. It's just going to do everything for you. I am going to go ahead and click on create 32-bit masters. So I have those to work with in PixInsight. I also use that to do some stuff. And I'm not going to really need to do anything with scaling masters or any of that kind of stuff because all of mine are at the same time frame. If you had different kind of, if your times from your flats or darks were different than your exposure times, then you would want to click this so it would kind of arrange all that stuff. Makes it super easy for you. And we're going to leave adaptive pedestal and amp glow on there. Anything adaptive that it will do for us is awesome. And we're going to leave create master bias because we'll take those and we'll be able to use those in the future. And we'll just go ahead and leave everything else the way it is. Number 3, analyze stars. Leave it checked. Don't do anything. Number 4, register. This kind of comes down to like how many stars and everything that you have, so it knows which algorithm to use. Now on my scope here, that's a little bit more zoomed in. I typically would use either triangles or quadrilaterals on my big 8-inch RASA that has that huge field of view and collects hundreds and hundreds of stars per image. I would actually bump that down to pentagons because it doesn't have to work as hard to try to figure things out. I'm just going to leave it at quadrilaterals right now and all this scale 1 and 5. And we are going to just go ahead and move on to the next tab, normalize. So this is pretty cool thing that APP has built into it. It will do some of the stuff that you could do after the fact in like PixInsight or stuff. It'll kind of do some of that work on the front end for you. So it makes things a little bit easier. And you can see here, we're just going to leave it on regular and we'll leave it on multiply scale. Again, that seems to be the consensus. So we'll leave neutralize background checked, and then we get to integration. So this is where we will go ahead and finally click a button and just let this baby chew through what it wants to do. So the first thing we're going to do is set up lights to stack. It's going to use all 50 of 50. So typically I will just bump this down like 4 or 5 just to tell it to throw out the worst ones. We don't want any part of them. And then we're going to go to integrate. We're going to use average and quality. Again, that seems to be the consensus as far as the best thing to use. Local normalization, we're going to put that on Windsorized because I've got about 40 to 50 frames for it to work with, and we'll leave the scale and everything the same. And that's going to be it. We are not going to change anything else on here because it's just going to do everything for us. It's just a fantastic piece of software. There are things in PixInsight that will do this for you, and I'm sure I will show them to you on this channel. But just for people that are getting started, and even for myself now, I'm finding I like this a lot better because I can do a lot of things and I can quickly get an image up to my friends or social media and then keep the data around to play with when I learn more about PixInsight, Photoshop, because it is very overwhelming to learn all of this stuff at once. So we're going to click on integrate and okay, and then this thing is just going to chew through this, and I'll show you the image that we have when it's done, and then I'll show you some of the other cool little things that you can do in here, how to save your pictures to send them to social media, and keep stuff around for when you want to dive into PixInsight and Photoshop. So we'll be back after this finishes. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes and I heard that ding. That means that APP is done, and let's take a look. Boom, there we go. There is our stack from last night of Bode's Galaxy. Looking really good, if I must say. Picked up a lot of good detail inside there. Very, very happy about that. Stars look good. Love those little diffraction spikes I get with the RC6. All right, so here we are. What do we do with this thing now? Well, you can save this thing off and just go from there if you want to. You can do whatever you want. Now, if you look down here, you're gonna see Master Dark, Master Flat. It actually built those for us. So those will be right there in our directory. So we want to add this to the next session, which actually had different master flats and darks. It's not going to be a problem. APP makes this super easy for us to do and manipulate and play with. So you could just stop right now. You could go and save this image and you'd be good to go. People would be super happy and just be like, wow. I know the first time I saw an image like this pop up that I actually captured after just pointing the stars at all night, I was just super pumped. So anyway, let's start playing with this thing. So let's click on number 9 here, tools. We're going to click on batch modify. What's that is going to do is the very first thing is it's going to bring up a crop. So we're just going to go ahead and crop this image. Try to get it where we don't have, stars on the edges and things that are kind of leaking over. That looks really good right there. But if you look up here in the corners, you can see our stacking artifacts from dithering. If you don't know what dithering is, that's basically when your mount and camera will move some pixels like every couple frames, however you set it up, so that way it will kind of minimize the noise and blend it all out and make it look good. So once we're done with that, I'm just going to go ahead and say crop OK, and it's going to ask us if we want to save this image, which we do. And right here is where you could just let this go. You could click on this and save it off as a JPEG and instantly put this thing on Facebook or whatever you want to do. I'm going to save it as a fits image that has a lot more information built into it in case I wanted to start with this image right here in PixInsight and use more of their tools and less of APP tools. So I'm going to leave it as a fits and click OK. You won't see anything change on the screen. Kind of tripped me up the first time I did it. So you can zoom in, zoom out. If we go down here, you'll see order processed 1. So that is that image that I just did, and you can see now that it is all cropped in and good to go. So let's go ahead and click on the next, which is correct vignetting. Now I have a perfect match almost sensor and everything else where I get very little vignetting. And since I'm using flats, I don't have to worry about doing this. So I actually skip this step. But if you've got dark or light circles around your image, you'll want to go ahead and click on that and get that through. In this point, I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to click on the next tab, which is remove light pollution. Now, you're not going to see a real big difference on this, especially with mine. I was using a light pollution filter and I'm under like Bortle 5 skies, which isn't really horrible. And the stuff that we did with the background neutralization in APP actually does a pretty good job of this. So, but this is way easier than doing it in PixInsight, that's for sure. So what you want to do is just kind of click on that and you want to draw some boxes just randomly. Don't get any stars in them. If you wanted to, you could come over here and this is where you stretch your image. We could actually click on this and stretch it even further like that. So that way you can see and make sure that you're getting this on this background back in here where, you know, everything's all blocky and all the different colors and stuff like that are. And you want to try to get it around most of the image. You don't want to capture any of the galaxy or anything like that. Nebula, you want to stay away from all of it. So I'm pretty good with that right there. We're going to click on calculate and see what it tells us. So we're pretty good right now. It's kind of mad about a couple places that I put a couple of the boxes. So it's picking up something that I'm really not seeing, but hey, I'm picking up what you're putting down. So you see red, green, and yellow. So you want to get rid of the reds, it won't work with them. So you click on this little button here that says remove red, they're gone. Now, if you can get rid of the yellow ones if you want to, but I'm pretty confident that there's nothing in those yellow boxes. So I'm good with this. So I am going to go ahead and click OK and save. And it's done with this thing already. So I'm just going to head and click OK, keep it as a fits. And there, it basically removed the light pollution. I'm going to leave the image stretched there at 30%, and we're going to go and click on Calibrate Background. We're going to click yes. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to kind of draw boxes just randomly all over the place that's picking up like our background. No galaxy, no nebula, nothing like that. You can see this cool bit of like nebulosity and stuff there. I might have to look that up and see what that is. Now I bet it's going to get angry at me again for putting boxes up here in the corner. It might not like those. Let me put one here over on the side, a little small one. So good with that. Click on calculate, see what it does. Hey, he's good. He's like, all right. So we're going to click OK and save. We're going to save it as a fits again. Just go ahead and walk through and boom, there we go. There's our image. If we look down here, it's actually saving those and it's saving those in your root directory. So if we go to night 2 and you see all of my pictures that I have in here, here's all the stuff down here that it's saving for us. After every step, it's saving those and it saves them in order, of course, or you can sort by time. So that way you know what step you left off at if you want to come back to it if you don't have enough time to finish processing. So let's go ahead and put this back down. I find that this 15 Sigma 2.5 looks about the best. We can try something like 15 30. Kind of brightens things up maybe a little bit too much, but it might look good for you guys. We'll just go ahead and leave it there. No big deal. So now we're going to calibrate star colors. Click on that, and then here we go again. We're going to basically just draw boxes around the stars. And this is going to help calibrate our image. And now when I click on this button, you are really going to see the color and everything of this really pop out. Now you want to go over here and just click balance RGB. It just seems to be the easiest foolproof method, and I really don't mess with any of the sliders or anything at all. I'm going to click on calculate. It's going to make sure that it's happy with all my boxes, and it's going to give you a point spread function there to show you exactly what it did. And then we're going to click on OK and save. There's no red boxes or nothing like that. So we're going to click on OK, OK, and there you go. Look at that. No more yellow image. We're actually getting some blue in there. I see little speckles of red from the hydrogen alpha that it's picking up, and all of the stars have colors. We've got a decently nice background. Remember, don't make your backgrounds super duper black. Space is not black. Space is a shade of gray. So now what we're going to do is we could pretty much stop right here if you wanted to and take this to PixInsight or Photoshop if you wanted to do more editing. But if you wanted to just really make this thing pop real quick and put it out to social media, HSL Selective Color is kind of an interesting little tool. And you can pretty much do whatever you want to with this. This is where you can start changing with backgrounds, playing with stuff, different colors. What I like to do is just click on all, and then I just like to crank the saturation up and click on calculate. And there we go. We got even more color, even more defined structure inside there. Everything looks super good. I'm actually going to take that all the way back down because I'll eventually take this data and put it into PixInsight. So I really don't want to do any more with the color, but hey, you could if you want. So I'm just going to click on cancel. My image disappeared. What do I do? Oh no, it's right here. Number 4 was the last step that we did. There it is. So then let's move over here to the right hand side. We're done with the tools and everything else like that. So this is where we can start playing with different contrast levels up here if you want to. If you really just wanted to use this tool by itself and you didn't have anything else, this is where you could just do some little final tweaks to get yourself a really good Astro image that you would be extremely happy with and people are just gonna love. During the pandemic, when people were posting all this bad stuff and scary stuff, I was posting Astro images and it really made my friends happy. I've never got so many likes ever because people just want to see happy stuff right now. We don't want to see just bad news and stuff all the time. So these are already stretched. Click on the neutralize background tab. It doesn't really do a whole lot for me that I've noticed, but it's just there. So we could do two things right now. I'm going to leave it like it is with this 15% stretch, and I'm going to do what I told you guys that we were going to do earlier. We'll just go ahead and we'll name this M81 Night 2 Final FB for Facebook, whatever. We'll click on OK, and we're going to change it to a JPEG so that way it'll be a little bit smaller file format. And we'll click OK. You can change the quality level if you want, 75, 100%. I'm just going to leave it at 75 because that's about all you're going to see anyway. ICC color profile. This is a standard that's set so everybody's monitors and phones all look the same when you're looking at a picture. Just leave it at 2.1 and click OK. Done. So it actually just saved that picture right there. And if we go down here and look at it and pull it up, there you go. There's your picture right there to post to social media and make everybody super happy. What we're going to do again for myself, so that way I can play with this in PixInsight, is I'm going to not stretch it. I'm going to take it back to what it is, which is pretty much a black image. There's nothing there, you know, but you see the data that is in there. That's what's so crazy and fascinating about astrophotography. So I'm going to save this, and I like to save these night 2, ready for PI for PixInsight, and I'm going to click OK. We're going to save it as a fits and click OK. And then for just a little icing on the cake, I've got PixInsight pulled up here. This was actually night 1's image. If I go into PixInsight and we want to open up ready for PI, we can click on that. We'll bring it over here into the middle, make it a little bigger, and we'll apply just an auto stretch to it. And there it is in PixInsight, ready to be edited and played with from here on out till your heart is content. So that's going to do it, guys. I really appreciate everybody for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a like. Let me know if you have any questions about anything or what you would like to see next. We will talk to you on the next video.